My name is Ben. I am 28 years old, and I live all alone. My job is working the night shift, fixing big trucks at a dirty gas station next to a very long, lonely highway. The old sign outside is rusty, and it flickers often, trying to show the words "Eat, Rest, Fuel." But many of the bulbs are broken. The place smells like old grease and cheap cigarettes. This whole life keeps me awake all night but makes me feel very empty inside. The scary thing happened last fall, on a very cold night in October. The cold air felt sharp, like a needle touching my skin. I had been at my friend's house and we had watched a late baseball game on his old TV. The TV screen had bad lines of color on it. Around 1:15 in the morning, I got into my old, rusted pickup truck. The door hinges squeaked loudly when I closed it. The engine rattled and started with a loud cough, spitting out a cloud of white smoke that quickly disappeared in the cold. I turned onto the dark highway to start the 60-mile drive home. The road is just a straight, black line going through dry bushes that look dead and past giant, dark red rocks. Out here, there are no houses, no lights, and the sky feels huge and open. Truly feels like you are the only person left in the whole world. I kept the radio off because it only made that awful, hissing static noise. I thought about work, about a mistake I made that felt like a hole in my pocket. My hands were squeezing the steering wheel so hard that my fingers ached and my knuckles were white points of bone. I tried to force the worry away. I looked up at the sky. The stars were many and very bright, shining like small, sharp pieces of broken glass scattered high up in the black velvet sky. I rolled my window down just a little. The cold air rushed in. It smelled dry, like dust, dead sagebrush, and sun-baked earth. I felt tired, yes, but also ready for the simple quiet of sleep. But then, far ahead, I saw something. It was a dark shape, maybe half a mile away, sitting just off the white line on the side of the road. I slowed down right away. My heart started a quick, nervous drumbeat. As I drove closer, the shape became very clear. It was a small, silver car. It was parked still, leaning a little with no lights on at all. No front beams, no brake lights, nothing. It just sat there, dark and quiet, like a large broken toy. I slowed down to a very low speed. The car was tilted a little toward the shallow ditch. The paint looked faded and dull in my bright lights. The door on the driver's side was open just a tiny crack, like it had bounced open and stayed there. I could smell a faint, burned scent, like hot brakes or old motor oil. I quickly turned my head for a fast look, and I saw him. He was sitting in the driver's seat. His head was thrown back against the rest in a very wrong, impossible position. The angle was too sharp. His arms were stretched out straight on the steering wheel, his fingers locked tight and white. He was not just sleeping. His body looked completely stiff, vacant, and utterly still. The sight of him, motionless in that strange position, felt like a hole opening in the normal world. I pushed the gas pedal and drove fast, telling myself it was nothing but a broken car. I looked in the mirror, but the darkness had already swallowed the silver car. The bad feeling did not leave. Felt like someone was watching my neck. The darkness outside the windows felt thicker now, heavier than before. The road curved a little. The shadows from the dead bushes stretched long, thin, and crooked, looking exactly like long, twisted hands reaching out toward the moving truck. I drove faster, passing another mile marker sign that had deep rust spots. Then I saw it, the second car. It appeared about 8 miles later, near another sign. It was the exact same small silver car. Same dirt on the back. Same paint color. Same tilt toward the ditch. No lights, and the door was open just a crack. This is not real. My mind screamed, I am dreaming this. I pushed the gas pedal to the floor, driving over 80 miles per hour, trying to escape the impossible, terrifying sight. But the truck started to shake violently. The dashboard lights went crazy. The needles snapped up and down. Then the radio, which was completely dead, suddenly came on at maximum volume. It was a horrible, loud, cracking noise, like a metal sheet being torn by sharp teeth. The noise suddenly went very high and turned into a sharp, painful, non-human cry that seemed to drill into my skull. Then, just as suddenly, the silence returned, leaving my ears ringing. I was shaking badly, my whole body tense. The road dipped low into a darker spot. The moon was now completely hidden behind a thick, heavy cloud. My headlights fought the darkness, making long, frantic shadows that danced and crawled on the ground ahead of the truck. Then he was there, in the middle of the road. I had no time to think. One moment, nothing. The next, a massive, tall figure blocking my path. I stomped on the brakes with both feet. The tires screamed loud and left black marks on the asphalt. The truck stopped violently, maybe 20 feet away. The engine made a hot, rapid clicking sound. He did not move at all. He was unnaturally tall, dressed in a dark, thick coat with a hood pulled deep over his face. My lights hit him hard. His skin was terrifyingly white, like chalk or cold marble. His eyes were the worst. Black, empty holes that seemed to suck the light out of the air right in front of them. He slowly turned his head. The air immediately turned frigid, and the smell came in strong through the open vent, metallic, like blood, mixed with the damp scent of old rust. His face was thin, sharp, and drawn under the shadow of the hood. He did not blink. Then he took one slow step, crunch on the rocks, then another. He was getting closer, moving like time itself did not matter. I threw the truck into reverse, then slammed it into drive and spun the wheel. I drove around him very fast. My side mirror passed maybe 6 inches from his body. I heard a soft scrape of rough cloth against the metal. I drove away, pushing the speed limit past 90. I did not slow down until I reached my house. I got out, shaking and stumbling. I ran inside, locked the door 2 times, and put the heavy chain on. I turned on every single light until the house was humming. I stayed awake all night, staring at the walls, holding my old, heavy pistol until the gray light of morning came. I could not close my eyes. The next day, I drove back to the highway in the sunlight. I went slow, searching every inch. There was no silver car, no mud, no tire marks from the crash, no man. The road was clean, just dry bushes and red rocks. I checked my dash camera. It showed the man walking toward my truck, and then the screen went to complete white static and noise for 12 seconds. When the picture returned, my truck was simply driving on an empty road, as if the whole stop and the man never happened. I threw the memory card far away into the trash. I still drive that highway to work, but only during the day. If you are ever out there in the dark, my one simple rule is, do not stop. For anyone. This happened a few summers ago, and I still can't really explain it. It feels like a quick, bad dream, but the strange feelings, the smells and the sounds are stuck in my head. I was 28 years old and moving my entire life across the country because of a new job. I was driving alone from a cold place in the north to a hot desert area. This was my 4th day driving, and I was so tired I was having trouble seeing straight. I drank a lot of coffee and listened to hours of shows about true crime. But by the time it was nearly midnight, my eyes felt very heavy. I saw the sign for a motel. The pink light on the sign was broken and kept buzzing. I saw a few large trucks parked there, which I thought was a good sign. Truck drivers usually do not stop at the worst motels. I pulled into the parking lot. The ground was loose gravel that made a loud crunching sound under my tires. The air outside was heavy and wet, smelling like truck fuel and a strange sweet smell, like old fruit. The office was small and plain. The clerk, a woman, did not look up from her puzzle. She gave me a plastic key card for room 17 and mumbled the number. I paid with cash and left. My room was on the first floor. When I opened the door, a wave of old air hit me. It smelled like old smoke, wet dirt, and a faint, sharp smell like old metal. The room was very old. It had an orange rug, a bed that sank deep in the middle, and peeling paper on the walls. I immediately locked the main door. It's a strong habit when you travel alone. I was getting my toothpaste ready when the strange noise started. It came from room 18, which was right next to me and shared a wall. It was not loud talking or music. It was a slow, steady scraping sound. It sounded like someone was dragging a plastic chair a tiny bit across the floor, then stopping, and then dragging it again. Scrape, wait, scrape, wait. The rhythm was slow and felt very wrong. I thought, they are probably just unpacking late. I turned on the small TV to make some background noise. While I took a quick shower, the scraping noise did not stop. Now there was a new sound mixed in, a muffled, wet shuffling. It sounded like wet shoes on a wet floor, or something heavy and soft being pulled. The wet sound now matched the scraping. Scrape, shuffle, wait, scrape, shuffle. I felt a cold chill run through me. I dried off fast. The clock showed it was 1:17 a.m. I was starting to feel angry and deeply uneasy. I decided that if the noise did not stop in 5 minutes, I would call the front desk. I put my ear to the thin wall. The sounds became much louder. The shuffling was very heavy, like a great weight being dragged across the rug. It moved in wide, slow back and forth lines, always staying close to the shared wall. I heard no voices, no music, only that wet, heavy rhythm and some small, faint dripping noises. The air in my room felt much colder, and the metallic smell grew stronger. After 5 long minutes, I picked up the room phone, but the line was dead. There was no dial tone, just a click. I put the phone down hard, and that is when the shuffling and scraping suddenly stopped. The room went completely silent. I felt a quick wave of relief. Then came the knocking. It was not on the shared wall. It was on the connecting door, the inner door that was sealed shut between my room 17 and their room 18. Knock, knock, knock. 3 clear, loud knocks right on the door in the middle of the wall. I froze by the bed. The sounds from the next room had stopped just before the knocking started. The knocking quickly changed. It became a soft, frantic scratching, like fingernails digging into the wood right next to the handle. Then, I heard the deadbolt rattle, a small metallic sound. Something was quietly and patiently testing my lock. I could not move or make a sound. I grabbed the heavy metal chair and forced it under the handle of my main door, but I knew it would not help against the inner door. The scratching stopped. Then, a low, flat whisper slid through the tiny crack in the door. It was clear and completely mechanical, as if the person had their mouth pressed right against the wood. "I just need my bag. Let me in, please." The voice had no feeling. I did not dare to answer. I moved back to the window, ready to break the glass and run away. The scratching started again, circling the lock. The whisper came again, lower, near the floor. "My bag. It's heavy. Help me with it, please." A soft thump followed. like a body falling against the door. I stayed awake by the window until the sun started to come up. The sounds slowly faded. Scratches turned into soft sighs. The voice became quiet, wet noises. By 5 a.m., the silence was total. I packed my bag quickly and ran out, making sure not to look at the door for room 18. A few miles later, I stopped at a gas station. I told the old man working there about the noisy room. I asked him if the motel had strange things happen there. He looked at me with a very strange expression. That motel? They haven't used room 18 since the fire many years ago. I tried to argue, but I was right next door. I heard people there all night. He shook his head slowly. They sealed up that end of the building 10 years ago. It was damaged by a fire. They only fixed room 17 and the others before it. Room 18 and all the rooms after it are just empty walls. No power, no guests, no way to get in. My heart sank. The sounds, the scraping, the wet dragging, the voice asking for the bag, could not have come from a real guest. There was no guest. There was only a sealed, empty space next to me. I found out later that a worker had died in that room during the fire. He was trying to save a duffel bag full of pictures of his lost family. People said he kept whispering to the doctors about getting his bag back. I realized the sounds I heard were not from a person, but from the ghost of the worker trapped in that empty space. He was endlessly dragging his heavy bag of sadness and regret, still needing someone to open the door and help him. I still wonder what terrible thing would have happened if I had moved the lock on that connecting door. I remember that drive better than any other day in my life, though I sometimes wish I didn't. It was midsummer, the kind of heat that makes the world shimmer. I just quit my job after a bad argument with my boss and decided, without planning, to get in my car and drive. No destination, no messages, no one to tell. I just wanted silence, the kind you can only find when you've left everything behind. I took the old highway that cuts through the hills, a road I'd never driven before but had seen on a map. The first few hours were perfect. The asphalt stretched endlessly, lined with yellow grass and silent pines. I had music on, my window open, and a warm wind brushing my face. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. By noon, the radio turned to static. My phone showed no service. The air outside grew cooler, the trees taller, darker, as if I'd climbed into another world entirely. Still, it felt peaceful, the kind of quiet that makes you think. Then, around evening, things started to feel different. The road began to narrow, curling into sharp bends. I noticed something odd. There were no signs, no mile markers, no houses, not even an old mailbox. I realized I hadn't passed another car for over 2 hours. The only sounds were the hum of my tires and the occasional bird. Then even the birds stopped. I slowed down as the fog began rolling in, thin at first, then thick enough to erase the world beyond my headlights. My stomach tightened. I tried to tell myself it was fine, just a strange road. But every time I checked the rearview mirror, the fog behind me seemed darker than the fog ahead. At one turn, I saw something on the shoulder, what looked like a person standing still, facing the trees. I almost stopped, but something in me said no. I told myself it was just a trick of the fog. I kept driving. Another 20 minutes later, I saw another one. Same shape, same stillness, same direction. They weren't moving, weren't looking at me, just standing, almost blending into the trees. I told myself again, fog plays tricks, but my hands had gone slick on the wheel. Eventually, I came across a small clearing and stopped. My engine made that soft ticking sound as it cooled. I got out, mostly to stretch and convince myself I wasn't imagining things. The air smelled like rain and earth, but under it, there was something else, something metallic. The fog was everywhere now, wrapping around the trees like wet cloth. And then, faintly, from deep in the woods, I heard it, a slow, dragging sound, like something being pulled through the dirt. I froze. It stopped. I turned back toward the car. That's when I saw the footprints. They weren't mine. They came out of the woods, straight toward my car, and stopped right beside where I had been standing. Bare feet, large, long toes. The prints were fresh, still dark with moisture. My heart began to pound so loud I could hear it echo. I climbed back into the car, slammed the door, and locked it. The windshield fogged with my breath as I tried to calm myself down. Then, a soft tap on the back window. Just one. I didn't move. A few seconds later, another tap, slower, closer. I turned on the rearview camera. Static. I switched it off. My breathing quickened. I could hear something moving, not footsteps, exactly, but dragging, like wet cloth being pulled across the trunk. I forced myself to look back. Nothing. When I turned forward again, I saw something in the headlights, a shape standing in the middle of the road. It was tall, too tall. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side. The fog swirled around it, and for a moment it looked like it was wearing something torn and hanging like rags. I blinked, and it was gone. That's when my car shut off. Completely. No lights, no sound, just black. I sat there in the dark for what felt like hours, gripping the wheel so tightly my hands hurt. I didn't even breathe. I kept expecting something to knock on the glass again. It never did. Eventually, I must have fallen asleep or passed out. When I woke, morning light was filtering through the trees. The car started as if nothing had happened. I drove fast until I found the next town, a tiny place with one gas station. I got out, shaking, trying to laugh it off. The attendant came over, an older man with deep lines on his face. When I told him where I'd come from, which road I'd taken, he just stared at me for a long time before saying quietly, "Son, that road's been closed since '97. Flood washed it out miles back. Nobody drives it anymore."